Last night, I moderated a forum in South Carolina, of course, one of the key early voting states in the Republican primary. The candidates included the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis. Now, in recent weeks, he has turned his attention on a new rival, Nikki Haley, who's rising in the polls. I asked the Florida governor if he takes any exception to Haley's positions on abortion. Watch.
Well, look, I mean, of course you're not going to jail a woman. No pro-lifer has ever argued for that. So when she's saying that, she's indulging media narratives. That's a narrative. That's not how it is. We have a heartbeat bill in Florida. It has nothing to do with putting a woman. It's ridiculous that that would even be mentioned. So I think she's playing in to some of the stereotypes that the left uses against conservatives. Don't accept the media narrative. Fight back against the media narrative.
Now, the governor also went as far as he has to date on all of his opponents' campaigns. I asked if Republicans who don't make the third debate stage in about a few weeks' time should drop out of the race.
I've been very weary of saying what anyone else should do, but I think clearly if you're not even able to meet that criteria to even get into a debate, then that's a problem. I mean, what's your path to victory at that point to be able to do? So here's just the honest to God truth. You know, there's two people with a pathway to victory. You know, you have the former president, who obviously is the best known and has got a lot of legacy support. And then you got me. I'm the only guy that can appeal to enough voters to be able to actually get it done ultimately. And, you know, we're showing that as we work through Iowa. You're going to start to see that, I think, more and more as we get to the end of the year and people start to dig in. But that's just the reality.
All right, joining us now, NewsNation contributor, former Obama White House official, Johanna Mosca. Johanna, hello, happy Friday. Laura, I want you to come on back in, too, to get your thoughts on this. But let's start with Johanna. What'd you make of the seemingly back and forth there with Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley there in South Carolina, with the Florida governor responding to her positions on abortion? Johanna?
Well, and it was interesting, of course, Blake, because you have an audience of women. Look,
yeah.
The trouble for Republicans is it's like the dog who caught the car. They didn't expect to be in this situation. So there are actually Republicans who are saying that they should jail women. And so when DeSantis says that doesn't exist, what do you do when someone has broken the law and your law is a 6-week ban? That is going to be a real consideration. Nikki Haley, and I also thought it was interesting that you asked the question and he said there's only 2 viable candidates. Nikki Haley, I would argue, would be the best contender for a general election for 2 reasons. One, because she's speaking about that abortion issue in a way that does not demonize women. And 2, because she can appeal to that suburban woman who is not okay with Trump and, frankly, not okay with taking books out of libraries either. So DeSantis has a challenge there. And I thought, you know, you asked the right questions. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person with you guys, because I would make fun of Ford's, you know, shoes and everything in every break. But I'm really glad I get to join you for this.
Bring Ford in. Here we go.
Well, here's the problem. There's only one candidate actually in this race who's going to win the Republican nomination. That's Donald Trump. And the reason is very simple, because there is no appetite for dethroning Trump in terms of the GOP primary electorate. And when it comes to abortion, the bottom line is no matter what Republicans say, the Democrats only have 2 plays to the 2024 election. The first one is Republicans are a threat to democracy, and the next one is abortion, abortion, abortion. And guess who's caught on to how to message this a little bit better? And the answer is Donald Trump. Why? Look at the polls, just nationally. He's only 9 points behind Biden on abortion. There's only 2 issues Joe Biden's leading on. That's climate change and abortion, and Donald Trump is going to figure out how to win over independents on that message.
Laura?
Well, I mean, it's clear that Biden has to consolidate his base. So his weakness right now is with Democrats, which is a much easier thing to do than to try to squeeze out people in the middle. So I feel like Biden has got a lot of room to improve and is going to be able to do that. When you look at Ron DeSantis, he does look rather weak because, in the words of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I am in Las Vegas right now, just win, baby. That's how you beat candidates like Nikki Haley. That is how you win. And here he was lionized by conservatives conservative media. He was given every opportunity. And by just about every measure, he has been a charmless disappointment to the Republican base. So now this is sort of his last-ditch effort. Maybe the other candidates can quit so I can win. So this is sort of a kind of sad last throw by the former favorite darling of the right.
Ron DeSantis is in the position he's in, not because Ron DeSantis wasn't a good candidate. It's because of the fact that Donald Trump effectively defined him for the Republican primary electorate. And if Donald Trump turns around and does the same thing to Nikki Haley in the very near future, guess what's going to happen to her poll numbers? And if you take everybody in the field, this idea there's an appetite for another Republican other than Donald Trump is absolutely insane, because if you take all the other candidates, put them together, they are still 20 points short of Donald Trump in the primary polls.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.